Okay, so I'm going to start off by having us try something different with our power teaching responses. So here's what we're going to do. Instead of saying class and you saying yes, I am going to say, yo, class. And you're going to say, what do you want? Is everybody ready?
Yes.
So and you need to do it with enthusiasm, okay? Yo, class.
What do you want?
Okay, I need hand gestures too, okay? Yo, class.
What do you want?
Okay. Now, does that sound somewhat Italian?
Italian.
I'm trying. Okay. So the person that I'm going to speak about today is Anastasi, and she was Italian. And so I'm going to put this up here so that you guys can remember a few things. I'm going to go through 3 different points, and one is going to be green as one separate point, one is going to be a white point, and one is going to be a red point. Okay? I'm going to do a couple different things with them. So the first thing I'm going to tell you about Anastasi is her personal life. And I would like you to pick out one thing that I say and remember it while I'm talking, because you're going to share it with your partner. Okay? So the first thing is that she grew up in New York, and she was Italian. She also grew up in a very non-traditional family. Her dad died when she was very young, actually a baby. And she was raised by 3 different people. She was raised by her uncle, her grandmother, who was the matron. She made all the decisions, kind of like the godfather. And the uncle was very intelligent, very educated, and he didn't do anything as far as street smarts. He didn't do anything to help their family. And the mother, she was the breadwinner. So she was influenced by these 3 people in her life. This was in the early 1900s. Okay? So the next thing is, under her personal life, is her early education. She was actually homeschooled during a time where maybe it wasn't like today where it was a trend. Her grandmother didn't want her to go, and so she didn't go. But at the prodding of a tutor, the tutor said she should go to elementary school, and she did, and she liked it. And then she went on to high school, and she dropped out because she hated it so much. So let me find my card. At 15, she went into college, and she became a psychologist after she earned her degree. And she originally wanted to be in math. And so she was very interested in research in psychology and making sure it's done correctly. So I would like you to turn to your partner, and you can use these cues up here, and ask or tell one thing that you remember specifically about her personal life, which would include education and her family. So when I say, yo, teach, you say, okay. Are you ready? Yo, teach.
Okay.
Yo, class.
What
do you want?
Let's do that one more time. Yo, class.
What do you want?
What I want to tell you right now is I want to tell you what her thoughts are on IQ. She thought IQ was quite overrated in how they were starting to run tests during that time. She couldn't stand the idea that IQ was given so much precedence in who a person became. So she did not like the importance of IQ tests as much as maybe some of her predecessors. She felt that tests were not very fair. They weren't culture-free, and they were not culture fair, and it was impossible to make this. So she was pretty early on in someone who thought this way about IQ tests. Okay? And she also thought quite a bit about how heredity does not actually influence your IQ. She considered your social surroundings and things that happen to you as most influential on your IQ. So what I would like you to do is turn to your partner, and I would like you to say one thing that you most agree with about one of her statements. So it can either be about the importance of IQ tests, the fairness of IQ tests, or the heredity of IQ. When I say, yo, teach, ready? You know what to say. Yo, teach. Turn to your partner, please.
Okay. Right. I think that's interesting, but I think it is part of it a little bit. I think the whole thing with fairness of the cultural base, but obviously where you come from and how they prepare the test.
Yo, class!
What do you
What do
want?
you want? I just want to tell you about what she contributed to our modern day IQ. The first one is Anastasi. She considered, of course, what we already talked about as outside experience to have the most effect on how intelligent someone is. So when someone gets an IQ test, they are actually not meant, this was what I called street smarts, excuse me. Street smarts are more important than your actual IQ and what you've tested. Also, your IQ test is just a baseline. You can actually have hope for yourselves because our IQ tests can improve as we get older and we have more experience in life. And so that was one of the main things that she got out of, or that she taught us in her ideas of IQ. And so what I'd like you to do is turn to your partner, and actually, never mind. I would like to have two people just volunteer an option of how we can apply this to our students in our classroom. So I would like to have a volunteer. How can you apply it to your students in your classroom, Michael?
Well, I like the idea of street smarts because there are definitely a lot of people who, don't necessarily take to book smarts. They might not just say that they're not that engaged in the material that's going on in class, but then they leave school and they find themselves being very successful. And I think as teachers we can encourage that. If you see that in a person that they're not motivated by the material that's going on in class, you need to pull some of that street smarts into class so that we can motivate them.
That's very true, Michael, and we can all kind of think of even adults that maybe weren't the smartest, but they've got some amazing street smart. What can it do for the hope that we have for our kids? When we are looking at a kid, one of our students, and we're worried about them, what are our expectations that we should have? Should they be high or should they be low? Go ahead, Michelle.
Her theory of hope and the fact that an IQ test might be a baseline and that you build from there as you gain experience, exposure allows us as teachers to always be looking at the potential of where we can help take kids.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with that, I'm actually going to wrap it up because we are out of time. And I thank you, class, very much.
Thank you.